Well, it's been quite a night. My grandpa passed last night. He passed away. Early in the night, around 1 a.m., right at the beginning of Shabbat. And it was quite expected. 88 and a half. He lived a full life. Can't complain. God is good. And I was up most of the night, contemplating, praying, meditating, talking to the Lord. Couldn't really sleep. I was thinking a lot about Grandpa and his life and his choices and the things that I've learned. Not just what he taught me deliberately by speaking, but what I've learned from observation. And some of the things that really come to mind to me as a man of God who knows the Lord, our Creator, and knows the purpose of our creation and the purpose of our lives, I have a very unique perspective that most do not have. Especially not the unbelievers, people who do not acknowledge God. Because for them, life is a temporary experience, a finite experience. You're born, you get on the hamster wheel, you run as fast as you can, get as much as you can, build as big as you can, have as much fun as you can, experience as much as you can, and hope to do as much as you can before you run out of breath and that hamster wheel ceases to spin. And then it's over. And one has to ask himself, if he's honest, what was the purpose of all of that? Grandpa is now gone. I don't like using the word dead, but he's gone, he's not alive. And everything that he ever has done for himself is dead right there with him. Every gourmet meal he ever cooked, every view he ever saw, every place he traveled, every memory he had, everything that was about himself perished right alongside with him. And what was the point? Soon to be forgotten. Oh, I know. We have memorials, we remember the people. But do we really? For 2, 3, 5 years, yeah. But after that, they only get an honorable mention once in a family discussion. And life goes on. So what was the purpose of all of that? All of the time spent, all of the money spent, all of the resources and the energy. Things about themselves. And Grandpa, he was a traveler. He has pictures from almost everywhere. He loved traveling with his wife. And they had many experiences. But now that it's all said and done, what is left behind? I'll tell you what is left behind because there's a point to what I'm saying. The only thing that is left behind is the impact that he made on other people's lives. The legacy. Whatever you do for others is the only thing that will remain on earth once you're gone, once you go on to the other side. And when you think about the purpose of life, we are eternal beings, not temporary ones, but we are cursed with a temporary dwelling because of sin. It's not a religious idea, it's just fact of life. Our flesh is decaying ever since we are born. We have to constantly feed it, nourish it, maintain it so it stays alive. And even if we do, it still has an expiration date and there's nothing we can do about that. And so why do we spend so much time, so much of our lives about ourselves? What we eat, what we drink, what we wear, what we possess. Grandpa has collections, he has books and all kinds of fancy memoirs and artifacts and cultural things from everywhere you could imagine. His house is filled with these so-called treasures. And yet there's one thing his house does not have: him. So what good is all these treasures sitting there in that vitrina, stained glass cabinet, gathering dust? I've known Grandpa all my life, naturally, he's my grandfather. And I cannot say I remember more than twice that he ever took anything out of that glass cabinet and did something with it. Looked at it, enjoyed it, gave it any special attention. It was just sitting there. All kinds of stuff. You know how it is. You see, you collect, you gather, you have your bookshelf. He has many bookshelves, probably has hundreds, if not thousands of books from everywhere. All kinds of things and items, and I can't even tell you how many different stuff he has. But what's the point? Because he's dead now, and those things have no real value. They have no purpose. Did they help him? Could he eat them? Did they extend his life in any way? Did they even give him much joy? Because I know Grandpa, and he, especially in his latter years, he was very angry all the time. He's always been a tempered man, but because of his liver condition. None of these things gave him joy, yet he held on to them. And while, they might not all be diamonds, they all have some sort of a monetary value. Some have aesthetic value. And yet, you kind of get accustomed to the things you have and they don't thrill you anymore. If you notice that, you buy a new car, it's wonderful. The first few weeks, you get that scent of the new car. It gets old though. After 3 months of driving that car, you just get in, drive, you don't even think about it. You don't get that, this is my new car excitement anymore. It's gone. It's just another car, just like the old one you had, gets you from point A to point B. And it's the same thing with all of these collectibles. You get excited when you buy them, but then you forget they're even there. You could care less. What are you going to do? Just go and look at them? Okay, you look at them on your way to the bathroom, and then you look at them on the way back to the kitchen, and that's it. You get no joy from them. You're not just sitting there like, oh, look at that. What a wonderful thing I got. You do it in the beginning, but like I said, it goes away real quick. And then you die. And what did you do? All of these wonderful resources that the Lord has blessed you with, all of that provision from your hard labor, all of your toil throughout your many years on this earth, how many people you could have blessed? How much money you could have given away? And yet you have this collection of all of these treasures that just sitting there gathering dust. You can't eat it, you can't close with it, you can't keep yourself warm with it, you can do nothing with it. It has no true value except if somebody is willing to pay for it for their own treasured collection. because they're a hoarder just like you. People complain about starving children, about the poor. Why? Don't blame God. There's plenty to go around. There's more than enough. There's no famine. It's not that there's not enough food, it's that people are not willing to share. You got people with more than $100 billion alive today. More than one. And you're surprised there are starving children in Africa? You got $100 billion. Why don't you give it away? I understand you want to have something for yourself. Okay, keep 100,000. Give $99 billion away. Divide it. You just give $5,000 to each hungry person in Africa. $5,000 in Africa, that will feed them for a year. Give them some money for education so that they can learn how to grow their own crops. Give them resources, give them machinery, train them how to use it, how to train oxen and donkeys and grow their agriculture. So much you could do if you only take your eyes off of yourself. But no, you want the mansion, you want to build a bigger house. You want to have a nicer car. You want to have more collectibles. There's a parable Yeshua gave about a man who had a barn, and his barn was full to the end, and yet he had so much more crops coming in. He said, I don't have enough room. Here's what I'll do. I'll tear down my barn and build a bigger one. Then I can really hoard all of my wealth, and I can just take it easy and relax. And then the Lord said, tonight your soul will be required from you. Foolish human. Spend so much time gathering mammon, material stuff, and you forget about your soul. And how do you feed the soul? Gathering for yourself treasures up in heaven. How do you do that? By not gathering treasures on earth. Sharing the good you have with those around you. They don't all have to be homeless, you know. You don't have to only give to the poor. You can give to someone who's not as blessed as you. People have all kinds of troubles. Middle-class citizens, they have troubles too, you know. All of a sudden, somebody gets sick, car accident, their house gets destroyed. Floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, these things happen all the time. And you're blaming God, why? He's giving you an opportunity to do something about it. You don't need a new house, your house is fine. Yet you want to remodel and get a new kitchen. You want to put an extension. Why don't you remodel somebody's whose house just got ruined from a bomb in Israel? A rocket fell on their building. Cost millions of shekels to repair. Well, yeah, but I can give $200. $200. I bet you feel extremely generous. How much is that expansion costing you? Oh, you're getting another mortgage? For how much? 400,000? You're gonna drop $400,000 on an expansion for your house, but you're willing to donate $200 for someone whose house is utterly destroyed and they don't have a place to live. Do you see how crooked and perverse you are? And you wonder why judgment is needed? Why the Lord has to send most people to hell? Because you're just so loveless and evil. It's only just. You know, Grandpa, was he a bad guy? No, he wasn't a bad guy, but what's the measure? What's the measure? Are we just, marginal based on society, or do we go based on what the Lord says is good and evil? And Grandpa was charitable to some degree, I know. I'm not criticizing him, I'm just making an example out of him. Because I know that what he does is what everybody does, the people of the world. You all collect your treasures, but Yeshua said it, lay not treasures on earth, where moth comes in, thieves come in and destroy, rust, disasters, all of these things, money loses its value. And yet so many of you, particularly in the West, You all have beautiful homes, luxuries, furniture, big refrigerators, fresh cars with sparkling tires. You're like the people in Psalm 73. Pride is their necklace. And yet you give chump change to people and you think you've done something, because to those people, that's a lot of money. Yeah, you give $1,000 to a poor person. Oh, wow. Yeah, $1,000 for a homeless person? Whoo, he might as well be a millionaire. But you are a millionaire. And you think the Lord is going to receive you? If you have $1 million, well, I get it. You gave 1,000 to a homeless. That's a lot. Why don't you give 1,000 more to 1,000 more homeless people? That's $1 million. There's more people on the street, you know. And again, not just homeless people. There are people in homes that still need help. There are people working 2-3 jobs, single mothers, single fathers. Not all of them are fornicators. Some just, deceased. Some are just widows. Men or women. Mexican community where you got 5, 6, 8 people living in a single bedroom apartment. I've seen it. Don't you think they need support? Each of them has 2-3 jobs. They're all getting paid minimum wage, working at McDonald's or something like that. Can barely make end meet. You got 4 people working 2 jobs only to pay the rent and get some food on the table. Don't you think they could use an extension for their house? Get an extra bedroom or 2 so that the baby can have a room and the elderly can have a room. Grandma could have a room. How many rooms do you have in your house? And how many people are living in each room? I bet you have some rooms that are empty. You have a room for your closet. You have a room for your storage. You have a guest room, but nobody's sleeping there. You don't have any guests. Do you see how ridiculous you are? Every time I walk around town and I see all these gigantic mansions, everybody's building bigger than the other guy, and I'm thinking about the book of Haggai, the prophet, and how the Lord rebuked them for it. Said, look at you all, every single one of you with your paneled wood, your paneled houses, with all your beautiful luxury additions and gold and silver ornaments, and yet the house of the Lord lies in ruins. Oh, and he said it many times over, even in Isaiah and in Ezekiel, about the rich, the elite. Yeah, nothing new. Newport Beach. It's all the same. Nothing's changed in the condition of the people. So it's not like Grandpa is some sort of a arch villain here. No, he's just an example because he's the one closest to me and the one I could notice. So now that he's gone, what is left behind? In a month or 2, people will come, family will come, everybody will take this and they will take that, and soon enough the house will be empty and desolate. All the vultures will start circling around, taking their inheritance, and then what? 2-3 years later, they'll all forget about him, go about their lives, hoarding their own thing, and then they're gonna die one day. And then what? What was the purpose? Why were you even alive? It's the impact. See, the one thing we leave behind on this earth is the impact we make on others, how we change their lives, what we do for them. But the one thing we take with us to the next life is our relationship with God and what we do for Him. And those two could be intertwined, what we do for others and what we do for God, if we do it in the name of God and for His glory. After all, He did command us to love our neighbors as ourselves, do good to each other, share our goodness with those who are in need, care for the widows, the orphans, the sickly, the needy. It's a commandment from the Maker, the Creator. And then our character, who we are, how much we've grown, how well do we know the Lord, our relationship with Him. To know Him, to walk with Him, to serve Him, to grow in the knowledge of His commandments and His word. That is the true wealth. That is the thing that lasts forever. That moth does not come in and thieves do not steal and rust does not destroy. That is the true riches of life. The knowledge of God and His commandments. Because God is the only thing that is. He's the eternal one. He's the only constant. He is life. Everything else is an illusion. Material things are an illusion. They don't even exist. Heaven and earth shall pass away. These things are not gonna last. They're only there to teach you a lesson. This whole earth, this whole life, this whole simulation that we call reality, to teach us a lesson how to behave, how to conduct ourselves. Yeshua said, if you're not trustworthy with earthly possessions, who will ever give you the true riches? But he also said on the opposite, if you are faithful with a little, you will be ruler over much. The master will put you in charge of all of his possessions. See, we are now in the beginning stage of our life to allow us to make choices on who do we want to serve. The one who made us, or ourselves who are made, or anything and everything else. And it is only those who truly have a heart and a sincere desire to serve the Maker that will make it to the next stage of our spiritual evolution. When we enter into His presence, into His kingdom, it remains unknown what we will become and what we are going to do. But rest assured, God knows what He's doing, and He's in charge. And so to sum it up, make your life not about yourself, not about your experiences and your possessions and your travels and your memories. Those things don't matter. They're not going to last, and they're going to die right along with you. You won't remember any of it, and nobody else will. Nobody even cares. Make it about the impact. How did someone else's life got better because you lived? Because you were here? How much did you deposit in their life? Not just financially, spiritually, emotionally, intelligently. How much wisdom did you impart on other people? How much did you do to help them, to teach them, to raise them up, to be there for them, to strengthen them? That they could say, he was so good to me. My life is better because he lived. And above all, know the Lord and do His will. Serve Him wholeheartedly. Worship Him. For that is the purpose of our lives. And while this part of it is temporary, the one following is forever. And that's the real treasure. So lay not for yourself treasures on earth, where thieves break in and destroy, but lay up treasures in heaven, in the kingdom of God, by keeping His commandments and doing the good deeds that He told us to do. Hallelujah. Well, I just talked about making every effort and preparing for the insurance, making sure you close and lock everything. And we've been talking about Grandpa and morning. And guess what? The day has gone on. It's still the same day, late in the afternoon. And Grandpa had a foreign worker taking care of them, him and Grandma. My grandmother, she's demented. So the caretaker still there in the house. But the last couple days of his life, we brought in another man because he needed some geriatric help. He couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't do anything. So we brought in this man, my uncle, he took care of it. Didn't know who that guy was, found him online, and brought him in the house. And, well, lo and behold, Grandpa passed away last night, and today my mom wanted to take the caretaker for a little walk to get some fresh air. And she goes up there, and the woman is crying her eyes out. She told me she's crying. I figured, well, something bad must have happened. Either she's having a breakdown because she realized Grandpa died, or I thought maybe Grandma fell and she broke her hip or something. You know, she's 89, demented. She could fall and break her hip. I thought something happened, so I went to see what happened. And lo and behold, what happened? She had a gold necklace that her mother gave her that is missing. She said she saw it last evening, right before Grandpa died. And with all the commotion and going from this room to that room, and she ended up sleeping on the couch, and grandma was in her bed because the ambulance and all of that. People came to take the body, and now today, well, she can't find it. She looked everywhere, can't find it. She's crying her eyes out. And we figured, well, the Arab guy was there. Well, he was there going from room to room. Who knows, with all the commotion, maybe he took it. I don't know if he did, I don't know if he didn't, but it's missing. I asked her, do you know how much it was? She says, yes, it was 48 grams, pure gold, 25,000 shekels. I said, what? And where did you keep it? It was in the closet on the shelf. So it wasn't hidden. No, it was in the closet. If you open the closet, you can see it. And of course, well, I looked, it wasn't there. And then they started calling the cops, etc. What are we gonna do? Like, well, there's not much you can do. The guy is gone. He already left because grandpa's dead. There's no reason for him to stay. And even if you call the cops, what are they gonna do? They can't. There's no proof that he stole it. So what are they gonna do? He's gonna say, I don't have it. And he probably is not gonna have it by the time the cops, if they do find him. And I think it's so interesting how the Lord ordained all of this, because just earlier I was preaching about this very thing. I was preaching about keeping your treasures on earth. I think it were two separate messages. I can't remember at this moment, but we talked about this. And then I also talked about making every effort to make sure that people don't break into your house. So that you have your alarm, that you guard your possession, that you close the windows and lock the doors. And she didn't do either. And on top of all of that, she was crying. Well, she wasn't crying over grandpa, but she sure was crying her eyes out over that gold necklace. Now, it took me some time to think and actually understand what was going on. It was so interesting, and Stephen and I are talking. It's Shabbat today. I went up there, and they needed some help maybe to stay with grandma while they go to the police station. But, well, the Lord does work in mysterious ways. She is a Buddhist, has a big Buddha statue on her table by her bedside. Like, well, pray to Buddha, see if he helps you. The other guy was a Muslim. I sat down with him yesterday and I shared my faith with him. He's a Muslim, believes in Allah, believes in Muhammad. I told him it's not the same faith, it's not the same God. He told me, I never stole and I never did. I said, well, you're still a sinful man. You need Yeshua in your life if you want to be forgiven of sin. Muhammad's not going to save you. I preached to him. He claimed he believes in God. Well, if he believes in God, then he knows the righteous judgment of God. We established that yesterday. So he knows. He knows, and I already told him. And if he believes in God, then, well, that's on him. Again, I don't know if he even stole it. Anything's possible. We don't know. She could be faking it. She could have lost it. It could be in one of her shirts in the laundry. Who knows? But as of now, it's missing, and she's losing her mind. And then my uncle's trying to track him, and my dad is on the phone, and everybody's losing their minds over this gold necklace, while we just lost our grandfather. Well, my grandfather, it's their father, and we're preparing for the funeral, and we have to plan for the Shiva, and there's so much to do. A man's life just ended, and yet here we are all running around because she lost a gold chain, and she can't grab herself together. And I just talked about it. Lay not treasures on the earth. Back in the day, my mom gave me some family heirloom, a gold necklace, a Star of David, something very small that somebody left for me. Great uncle or something of that when I was young. She kept it for me. I said, why don't you give it to me? She gave it to me, and you know what I did? I went and sold it and took the money and used it for something useful and practical. Why would I be sitting here holding on to a golden necklace in my closet, just gathering moth and dust when I can sell it and buy food? I'm not that guy. I don't have any value for holding on to things. But they sure do. And yet it's interesting that she, as much as she values this necklace, she just let it sit there on the closet. I mean, don't you hide your things? There's another man in the house. Don't you have some common sense to hide your valuables if you truly value them? But it is what it is. It's the judgment of God. Things come full circle. Nothing is random. Everything is connected. Whether he stole it, he will be judged because God is just. If he didn't steal it, well, it doesn't really matter. The point is, everything I just talked about, and now you can see it played out in real time, as a confirmation that the Lord has spoken. I didn't know it was going to happen. I just spoke the word God gave me, not knowing what has happened while I was talking. But this is how God works. We don't know everything and we don't need to. All we gotta do is trust in the Lord and obey His commandments. He's taking care of the rest. He holds the universe together by the power of His word. So do what He says and lay your treasures up in heaven by obeying His commands.
As Guy said, lay your treasures up in heaven. Even if the maid had not, the caretaker had not laid that expensive gold chain out in the open, would it have been any better had she kept it in a vault or in a safe? I can't mourn the death of a man because I'm focused on the loss of a piece of metal. I can't support God's work because I need a $40,000 vehicle or a special guitar, Gibson. I can't take care of my children because I need to get those season passes to the Dodgers or the Lakers. I can't be a mother to my children, a wife to my husband, and a keeper of my home because I've got to make sure my weight stays at an attractive, luring, appealing way so that all men can gawk and geek at me when I walk through the stores, barely dressed. You are a wicked, perverse generation. And all that money you give to politicians' campaigns, you should be giving to God's work. You are a wicked, perverse generation. And none worse than those with kippas and crosses who attend religious weekly services. None worse than those are the most unnatural humans, the most unnatural worshipers of God, with your phylacteries and ritualistic accoutrements that you've embodied and framed and entombed God in your mind, but it isn't the God of the Bible. It is the God of your capitalism and your superstition and your mythology and your institutions and your concoctions, your personal independent convocations, your whims, your illusions and your dreams. Something you concocted out of your own biases, prejudices, hate, and desires. It is a God of your ambition, but it is not the God of conviction. You're disgusting, but that's for God to judge in His time, and He will. Because it is obvious to those who follow who you are and what you value. But blind as you are, drunk with the elixir of your intoxicating wickedness, it's unapparent to you. Standing in the mirror and you can't see yourself.